Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the Week 14 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the Sports Insanity Network YouTube channel. Mike, Dan, Mark with you, gentlemen. Morning. Happy Week 14.
Well, it is definitely morning. I don't know how happy of a week 14 it's going to be, but we'll see what everybody seems to think at the end of it.
Hey, it could be worse for a lot of teams. My team has a less than 1% chance of making the playoffs.
But they still can make it, though.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating how the AFC with that Steelers loss alone on Thursday night. It's it's amazing how wide open this league still is.
Right.
It's absolutely incredible. And the quarterback play is terrible. I mean, I'm sorry that this is probably the worst season of quarterbacks. And I know there's a lot of backups and everything, but man, we're getting a massive wake up call. A lot of teams are getting a massive wake up call with these quarterbacks that are playing out there.
Yeah, we will talk about the Thursday night game in a bit. We will also talk about Dan's team because they made the headlines this week for reasons you really don't want to know about, but we'll get there. But it's week 14, and we gentlemen have clinching scenarios. So I
Hey,
tried to do a little voice over there. You know, hopefully it worked. We start with Mark's team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They can clinch a playoff berth tonight with a win and either losses by the Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, and Packers. I'm not going to get into the whole ties thing because if there's a tie tonight, we're going to
Oi.
have a lot of issues. The Dallas Cowboys could get into the playoffs tonight with a win plus a Detroit Lions win, then losses by the following teams: the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Packers, the Vikings, and a couple of others. There's other scenarios. The San Francisco 49ers can clinch a playoff berth with a win and either a loss by the Vikings or the Packers. More than likely the Vikings, since the Packers play the Giants.
And
That
if all else fails, the two-man sack race will take representation in every other weekend until a winner is solved.
And then we have elimination scenarios where the Cardinals, the Bears can all both get eliminated, and then a bunch of teams can get eliminated from the one seed. AFC. The New England Patriots are eliminated from playoff contention with either a Texans win, a Bengals win, and that or a Raiders win and a Bills win. The tennis, no, that's divisional. Nah, I'm not getting into one seed stuff. So, but we are here. We have playoff clinching scenarios. So, a lot of impact mark on tonight's game.
Too much. Too
We'll,
much.
we'll talk about tonight's game in a bit, but we'll go back to and start with what happened on Thursday night. The aforementioned New England Patriots roll into, I know it's no longer called Heinz Field, but I'm still calling it Heinz Field. Go into Heinz Field, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 21-18. Bailey Zappi, 19 of 28, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Juju had a game, 4 catches, 90 yards in his return to Pittsburgh. For Pittsburgh, Mitchell Trubisky, 22 of 35, 190 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He also had a rushing touchdown for Pittsburgh, who falls to 7-6, while the Patriots go to 3-10. Mark, was this more about the Patriots or was this more about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
To me, I have no idea why the Patriots won for any reason. And my reasons go into an article I put out a couple weeks ago back on the network. But you could see from the start of the game, it looked like this was a absolute going to be a blowout of a game by New England, up big 21-10 at half, but all of a sudden the new era Patriots showed up and couldn't put up anything on the board. But then neither could the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then it was just a back and forth game until whatever. Pittsburgh put on a touchdown at the end, and the 2-point down three ended 21-18. I don't think that's what New England had planned, but whatever.
See the look on Belichick's face after they won? It was a look of
Yes,
shock.
exactly my whole point.
Like, what are we doing? But I mean, the other thought is Bailey Zappi goes out and shows, hey, maybe I got a chance at being the starting quarterback here.
I mean, he definitely moved the ball better than Mac Jones has all season. And this is Bailey Zappi's, like, really think about it, really his first true opportunity to start in a game, start to finish, and full reps, full everything. And he balled out. I mean, I know it's the Steelers. The Steelers are a trash team. But he balled out, and he showed that he could win some games. And like I said, quarterback play isn't that good in the NFL today, and that's just because of injuries and just mediocre quarterbacks that just keep playing. But one thing that they do show is that they do show a lot of grit, and they want to win. And that's the mindset that Zappi has, and it's very obvious that the team. No, it's a domino effect. If you're excited and you're happy, you're enthusiastic, they're going to be enthusiastic with you. And the confidence was there from the Patriots on Thursday.
Yeah, the Patriots played really well. I also think Bill knew. Bill knows he's playing a backup against a backup quarterback. And the one thing Bill Belichick tees off on, backup quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks. And, Mitch Trubisky is not the greatest quarterback, but I don't think Kenny Pickett would have fared that great either in this game, just because I haven't seen it from him. But I'm going to talk more on Pittsburgh. I said it Thursday because I did Thursday Gridiron with Bill, and I listen. There's a word that described the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're frauds. Yes, they've won 7 games, but you cannot for the life of me lose back-to-back home games against 2-win teams. The Cardinals and Patriots back-to-back. The worst you could be at this spot is 8-5. At least split those 2 games.
The Steelers are showing their true colors right now. They're showing who exactly that they are. They're mediocre at best, probably even worse than mediocre. And for the longest time, they were able to get away with it because, let's be honest, Mike Tomlin has done a great job at coaching this team and having them ready to, take advantage of certain moments in games. And that's why they've been able to propel to so many victories. But that can only go as far as it can. We saw it so much also with the Browns, we see with the Jets, where they've had so many flaws, but because of maybe one mistake or because of one big play, they were able to get over the hump and win games. It's not sustainable after a while. So Steelers are showing their true colors. They lose back-to-back games to horrible teams. And let's be honest, they're one of those horrible teams that just got pretty lucky this season.
And they have gotten lucky. And I think part of that is they still have a very good defense, and the offense has to do just enough. But the thing for me, and you brought up the guy, and the whole broadcast, they were talking about this being redemption week for the Steelers after what had happened against the Cardinals, and you're losing to Bailey Zappi. It isn't Tom Brady walking through that door. So my question for the Pittsburgh Steelers is, outside of Mike Tomlin, who's the leader? Who's the guy who's going to say, enough is enough? We have to put our big boy pants on. And we want to make the playoffs. Because right now, even if the Steelers made the playoffs, in argument's sake, they'd have to play Baltimore or Kansas City. Right now, that's a mismatch. And I know they beat Baltimore the first time the two teams played, but let's be real honest. Baltimore handed them that game on a silver platter.
Yeah.
But I don't know on Pittsburgh, Mark.
Yeah, here's the other thing is they're not a playoff team by any means, and I'm sorry to whoever I just pissed off out there in Pittsburgh Steelers land. They're not. I mean, if you want to put them anywhere, they're not even mediocre in my eyes. You know, they're getting by at 7-6. Mike made a good point. Who's the leader on the team right now? Obviously, it's Mike Tomlin. And right now, Mike Tomlin is looking at something he has never seen possibly happening. And that's a losing season under his tenure. That's something that's not featured about because nobody wants it to happen because he is respected as such a good coach. But that's the thing that could end up really hurting Pittsburgh if that happens right there.
Here's Pittsburgh's last 4 games, and then I'll get back on the Tomlin thing. At Indianapolis on Saturday, against Cincinnati, at Seattle, and they end the year against the Baltimore Ravens. By the way, even if that game has no meaning for Baltimore, they're going to play because they would love nothing more than to knock the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. And it'll be nothing to sit down, even if, let's say, Baltimore has a good chance at winning the AFC. They're not, and they don't. Why take a risk in having Lamar Jackson take a week off and then have to play, and then he's 2 weeks rested? No, I want my QB going.
Yeah, so I think the Tomlin thing is an interesting conversation because we've had this talk about Belichick, and is it time for Belichick and the Patriots kind of to part ways in what's a good spot? I'm starting to get the feel of maybe it's time for Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin because we talk about it as Tomlin's never had a losing record. But when was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers were a big time threat in the playoffs?
Not since Roethlisberger era, obviously.
And I mean, the end of Big Ben when they were 11-0 that year, I think it was 2020, the Browns killed them in the playoffs.
Okay.
So, I mean, but you're right, not since Ben Roethlisberger, but we're talking like prime Ben Roethlisberger, not end of the road Roethlisberger. So it'll be interesting to see how things go in Pittsburgh. New England gets the win. They now have 3 wins, so they could celebrate that. And now they may have lost their chance at Caleb Williams. Who knows? All right. Move on to some news of the week. And Dan, it wouldn't be newsworthy if we weren't talking about the New York Jets. And the Athletic reported earlier this week that Jets head coach Robert Saleh was going to go back to Zach Wilson. Wilson was going to refuse to play. Saleh said the reports weren't true. Zach Wilson will be the starter today. Aaron Rodgers then went on Pat McAfee and said whoever was leaking it, he called it, and I'm quoting here, chicken shit. Dan, what is going on with the Jets? Who will start Zach Wilson today?
Well, the official wording is reluctant, so which means that he. I guess you can, and if you want to call a refusal, it's fine. I can certainly take it that way. But technically speaking, he did not refuse to play. He just was a little iffy about it. And of course, he has his reasons. He doesn't want to get injured. Doesn't trust the coaching. Doesn't trust the offensive line. A whole bunch of things. I thought Zach Wilson was kind of childish with this situation, but at the same time, with the way the Jets have pretty much treated him, this is an opinion that's not very popular within Jetland, but I think Zach Wilson's being a little cheated here. I really do. I think Zach Wilson, while he has been awful, I feel like the coaching has been worse. The team has not set him up for success. They only set him up for failure. You know, it's funny how they had planned to play Aaron Rodgers the entire season, and for Zach Wilson to sit back and watch how Aaron Rodgers plays quarterback. And then he tears his Achilles, and then Zach Wilson has to be inserted back into an almost impossible situation. And yet we're blaming Zach Wilson for the entire season. Yet the Jets have not made any adjustments with their roster. They have not made adjustment with their coaching. Look, Zach Wilson may have been sustainable this season for maybe a couple of games, but in reality, they had to get another quarterback, and they did. So a lot of it falls on the Jet organization. And for the Jet organization to make Zach Wilson the scapegoat here, and let's be honest, he was a scapegoat. I know people don't believe that because he played awful, and he did play bad. He was terrible. But for them to treat Zach Wilson that way, to make him the scapegoat, and then to come running back to him after the two other options he had, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, were just flat out awful at quarterback. In desperation mode, I'd be kind of pissed at that too. Because you blame me for everything. You made me, and he took it like a man too. He has been very accountable for his for all the things that he's done this season. He's been very accountable, and he's been a very, very nice guy, good trooper throughout the season. For him to just take it like a man, take all the criticism, take all the crap, and then for them to come running back to him, that it would piss me off too. So I have no issue with Zach Wilson's, basically telling the Jets to F off. Now, he ultimately, because you can't waste another opportunity. If you're getting an opportunity starting in NFL, you're not just going to be like, well, screw that. No, he's taking this, and this is basically his audition for other teams. And he's going to get traded, or he's going to get cut, and he'll sign somewhere. I believe someone can use Zach Wilson next season, and he'll thrive wherever he is. Because I think, this is just me. I think the coaching is terrible with the Jets. Someone will utilize him better than the Jets have. Someone will set him up for better success, better than the Jets have. And the bottom line is this. The Jets did this to themselves. The Jets did this to themselves because if they were truly about winning this season, knowing that Zach Wilson while he can certainly win you a game, if certainly needed to, if it was about winning this season, they would have done everything possible to make sure that they get a competent quarterback and a competent group of receivers, running backs, and let's be real, Nathaniel Hackett had to coach better, and he did not. So this entire season's all on the Joe organization more than it is on Zach Wilson. I feel horrible for Zach Wilson. I don't know how he's going to do today. My prediction is going to remain the same, that he'll do the best he can. He'll try, work his ass off, but ultimately he's still going to make the same mistakes, and Houston's going to pounce on it. But this is a roller coaster ride for this Jet organization. in terms of the Aaron Rodgers comments, I get where Aaron Rodgers is coming from, and he's not wrong. Like, why the hell would any person from the organization would want to leak that information to Diana Rossini of the Athletic? And you know, I just want to point out there, only losing organizations deserve this crap. No winning organization has this type of dysfunction in the locker room.
It,
But
sorry to cut you off. It should be noted, Dan, too. Tim Boyle was cut for Brett Rippon this week. So people have been saying, was Tim Boyle the leak? Was Tim Boyle the guy who said all this stuff? I don't know.
it's a conspiracy.
That was the conspiracy online.
Yeah, I can't really tell you, but here, yeah. So, and I agree with Rogers, but he knows that Zach Wilson said those things. I don't know to the extent. I don't know how true it is. I don't know what exactly was said. But I'm certain that Zach Wilson said along the lines of, I'm not quite sure if I want to play. Like, I'm sure that all that's true. I'm not necessarily saying that people are lying, but I just don't know if the source over exaggerated the situation.
Mark,
I
anything you
mean,
want to add?
I don't think there is anything to add to it. I think between the both of you, you put it pretty eloquently. I agree with both of you on both ends of it. A lot on what Dan said. How dare this organization do what they did after the fourth play of the game to this kid? Yes, it's not his first year in the league or anything. He's been there a couple of years and he hasn't succeeded, but still, I have to play for whether you change at the second or the second to last game. Here's your quarterback. Do right by him. That's all.
Yeah, utilize his skill set because he has some skills. He can run out of the pocket. He has a tremendous arm. His arm is terrific. They didn't utilize any of his skills. And I believe that his talent's out there. And no one wants to believe it because, they want to stick to the narrative of he sucks. But the talent's there. They just have to utilize it better. And they haven't. But yeah, no, look, there was no plan B truly for this season. And it always goes back to Aaron Rodgers because that's what the season is about. This season about Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to say that it is his fault, but the bottom line, it is his fault because the team was centered around him. He made it about him too. And if it wasn't about him and it was about the team and we had a better offensive coordinator and we didn't have to sign a Lazard or a Tim Boyle or a Billy Turner or a Randall Cobb and we addressed the issues that we need to address. Like I truly believe the Jets would be in a better place. Like this is not just me just saying it. Like I believe that it'd be the case. It all goes back to Aaron Rodgers. This is a lot of it's on him. And the rest of the Joe organization for not truly having a backup plan because let's be honest, throwing Zach Wilson out there when this was supposed to be a year of him to sit, it's not plan B. It's not.
No, but I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to throw something back because you blamed Rodgers, and I don't blame Rodgers as much as you do. I blame the organization as much as you do because this organization, yeah, Zach Wilson stunk the last 2 years, but let's be real honest. It's not like he's working with this God's gifted, talented team. The defense is talented, but offensively, they're offensive to watch.
Atrocious.
So your plan this offseason, and this is Saleh, this is Douglas, this is Woody Johnson, who might be the most famous Woody, not named Woody from Toy Story. Mark, do not quote Woody Allen on this. I was going for something funnier. But it's Woody Johnson. It's Robert Saleh. It's Joe Douglas. It's Hackett. They get on their plane. and they get on their hands and knees for a guy at a darkness retreat because at the end of the darkness, they see the light that is Aaron Rodgers. As soon as they acquire Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson can't be on this football team. And the reason I'm saying it is because Zach Wilson lost the locker room. Zach Wilson lost the locker room when he got hurt last year, and Mike White came in, and I got to deal with Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall wearing Mike F. and White T-shirts.
Yeah, especially at that New England game where he basically
right. Where have you?
And
his
no
answer
one,
was
by
no
the
to
way,
whatever the
no
question
Jet
was.
fan has forgotten about it. I think Jet fans do hold on to him a little too much, and I believe the base of that criticism that he's getting now goes back to the New England game.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So the Jet plan was Rodgers comes in for 2 years. He's going to be the quarterback. Zach Wilson's going to watch, and then we're going to revert back to Zach Wilson. And what time traveler's universe does that make sense? Because the minute Zach Wilson struggles, whether it's now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 64,000 years from now, the Jets fan base doesn't believe in Zach Wilson. The Jets organization doesn't believe in Zach Wilson because if they did, they don't go out and get Rodgers. They get a standard backup who would compete with Zach Wilson for the job. So I don't blame Zach Wilson for not wanting to play because I have a coach who doesn't believe in me. I have an offensive coordinator who, as you said, doesn't help me out. I've got a general manager who took me second overall, but he clearly doesn't believe in me either because they went and got Aaron Rodgers. And I've got an owner who has the same name as the main character from Toy Story.
Yeah, the bottom line is that the Jets don't trust him.
No.
And it's weird that you hold on to a quarterback as your second string guy that you don't trust. Like, why? What's the point? This is literally how coaches get fired.
And GMs. But here's the thing, Dan. Here's the ultimate question on Saleh and Douglas. If Aaron Rodgers approves of them, they're staying. Because Aaron Rodgers is the new owner of the New York Jets.
He has the key to the franchise, bottom line. And that's another thing that may hold his team back a little bit is that. But obviously, I'm not gonna until something horrible happens to this franchise where it's like we cannot do this no longer. Like that's just gonna continue being the case.
All right, so Zach Wilson returns to start today against the Houston Texans.
Let him loose. Let him loose. Let him go.
Loose.
Who cares?
I hope he doesn't get let loose. I mean, I picked up the Texans defense in fantasy. Need the points.
Maybe it's the worst nightmare, Rifkin.
It probably will be. All right. So we go from talking little Zach Wilson. We brought up Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, former MVP winner. And Mark, I'm coming to you with this one because there's been a lot of chatter. MVP. Is it Dak Prescott? Is it Brock Purdy? Is it Jalen Hurts? Is it Tua? Is this a year where a non-quarterback can win MVP? And the two choices I'm going to give you, and if you want to go off on someone else, you can. Could Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey be considered the NFL MVP this season?
I think the answer to your first question is no. I think the 5 names you gave out are pretty much top contention for MVP, depending on where they end up, their teams end up finishing in the long run. Can Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey? Absolutely. Especially if they keep going on the tears that they're having. I mean, it's hard to imagine that it would go to either one of them, but there would be absolute outcry that they never had a fair shot. So what's left for players like Hill, McCaffrey? It's offensive player of the year, stuff like that, but it's not the coveted most valuable player of the league.
So let me ask you a follow-up. Has the MVP award just become who's the best quarterback playing right now?
Unfortunately, as of nowadays, yes. I mean, but you also have to give it to a couple of quarterbacks who've gotten it because they've done dual duty, and I mean running and throwing. They've done it both and done it excessively. But you go back earlier. I'm going to say it. Emmitt Smith was the NFL MVP. So proof of running back, can win it.
Right. But I mean, even if you fast forward years later, LT won an
Very
MVP.
hard. It's very hard.
Adrian Peterson won an MVP. So I mean,
Right. It's very hard nowadays, but yes, which quarterback is playing better is pretty much a fair statement right now.
Dan, your thoughts here on MVP?
I mean, they're not going to give it to a non QB position player, but you can make a big case for Tyreek. I mean, this dude, you Rifkin, you watch him every week. This dude is having by far a career season, and it's amazing how you go from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa, and all of a sudden, like, you're being flashy, you're showing off your biggest skills, you're more energetic. This dude's just, I mean, do you understand how many touchdowns get taken away when you don't have Tyreek Hill? That is the reason alone why he should be considered for MVP. Realistically, they'll probably go to like a Dak Prescott, or whatnot. But yeah, no, it's truly amazing how this kid gets open, how he makes a lot of these impossible catches, how he scores so many touchdowns. I think isn't he like approaching like 20 touchdowns or something like that?
I will double check that. But
And yeah, it's incredible stuff. It really is. Um, McCaffrey's also in the running too. I mean, how can he not be? I mean, just a tremendous season in San Francisco as well. Um, and running the ball like nothing. Like this kid making everyone miss, breaking everyone's balls.
so Tyreek Hill has 12 receiving touchdowns on the year, and yeah, he's got 12 touchdowns on the year. So he
Yes, I
could get 20. He's also on pace to break the yards record set by Calvin Johnson.
what was it like? Almost 2,000,
It's over
3,000?
2,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason why I ask is you watch these talk shows and they talk about who's the MVP, who's this, who's that. And it's kind of like the only names they're bringing up are quarterbacks. So let's fight for the little guy a bit. But I mean,
This is the year to do it.
I mean, right, because Tyreek Hill could go over 2,000 yards. McCaffrey scored a touchdown in, what was it, like 17 straight games.
Something that was close to that, yeah.
It's very rare that a quarterback, because let's be honest, without a competent quarterback, the team stinks. So that's why, for the most part, they give it to the quarterback. But let's be real here. These receivers or these running backs are pretty much bailing a lot of these quarterbacks out because of their mediocre play.
By the way, another guy you can make the case for, he won't win it, but you can make a very good case for Travis Kelce because the Chiefs have nothing else offensively.
Well, for everything, for the girlfriend, for his playmaking ability,
Oh,
for his commercials on Pfizer, like, all that stuff.
but oh my! for the fact that him and Dr. Fauci will debate Aaron Rodgers on vaccines. Just wait for that to come,
On
guys.
science.
I'm
Science alone.
silent, yeah.
Blinded me with science. All right, so that's a little bit of MVP talk. Talk about clinching scenarios. All right, let's get into some of the games for the day. Um, I hate talking about this division, so I'm going to make this quick. Bucks Falcons only matters because the NFC South is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got a coin? We label one head, label one tails, flip it. That's what the decision is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so awful, dude.
I mean, Todd Bowles, you're getting. If the Bucks don't win the division, Todd Bowles should be fired. If the Falcons go get a real quarterback, because I don't know what the hell Desmond Ritter is, and the New Orleans Saints, wait for Mardi Gras, because I don't know what the hell's your problem.
I mean, you got to give a little respect to Derek Carr, who will start today.
Listen, I feel bad for Derek Carr, man. Playing with a rib cartilage fracture, I believe is what they call it.
And look, you crap on him all you want. The dude's always ready to play. Like,
Yes.
Dude's a gamer.
He's a beast, dude. And I know he hasn't had a great couple of seasons. And that's mostly on Derek Carr, but the dude wants to play. So he'll play with pretty much anything wrong with him. Which is a trooper.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't have much to work with down there in New Orleans either, so. But we go off on that. But you got Bucks Falcons. And then how about this one with the AFC wildcard implications? The Colts, led by Gardner Minshew, go to Cincy to play on the Bengals and Jake freaking Browning, who got a win on Monday night against the Jags.
Yeah, I was very encouraged by Jake Browning's performance, and most of that was against the Jaguars ones. So, because let's be real, it was the Jaguars ones that they were facing.
Yeah.
Very encouraging sign from Jake Browning. He may not be the greatest quarterback, but he's certainly a very competent backup. He's proven that now.
When looking at this game, the Colts secondary is going to have to win this game. And they're a good secondary. I mean, they're not fantastic. They're not below average. They're just good. If they can slow down the passing game and relegate it to a run game, this game will be a lot closer than it should be. And to me, it depends on which Colt secondary shows up today.
I went up on the Colts secondary because what the Bengals were able to do with Joe Mixon on Monday night was very encouraging. Not just pounding him, but using him in the screen game, using him in short passing situations. I think the more you get Joe Mixon involved, it opens things up for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And for the life of me, Zach Taylor, never let Tyler Boyd throw another pass again. That was awful. But to go back to the Colts for a second, this is a team 7-5 or 7-6, whatever it is, with Gardner Minshew playing now. And they found a way to win in Tennessee last week. They're just finding ways. I'm not going to sit here and say the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl, but the Colts have found some Gardner magic. That's what I'll call it.
Well, Gardner Minshew has nothing to lose by playing at the top level he can, because he's a free agent next year. And there's plenty of teams who are going to be looking for a quarterback.
And plenty of teams who need a backup quarterback. Jets. Oh, I'm sorry. I might be coming down with something. But again, there's a guy you could have signed. And he's playing great for the Colts. So, Colts, Bengals, massive wild card implications in the AFC. Another interconference game that's got implications. Rams, Ravens.
It depends on what Hakuna Matata is feeling today? Is he feeling no worries, or is that shoulder joint, knee, quadricep, and hip injury gonna affect him today? This kid has my vote for rookie of the year on at least on the NFC side right now because of what he's done on a team that is basically at the bottom end of the playoff bin.
Dan,
We're still at Rams, Ravens, right?
Rams, Ravens, yeah.
I think that the it's gonna be tougher for the Rams just because one, because of the time difference, but two, because the Ravens, they're always hungry no matter what, and they're at the top of their conference, so it's gonna be a tough one for the Rams. So I'm very encouraged by how the Rams been playing of late. It seems like defensively they're starting to attack the quarterback a little bit more. Offensively, they seem to be moving the ball better. I mean, it's not a coincidence with Stafford playing, but just a couple of nuggets there.
I think this comes down to the Rams' offensive line.
Yeah.
The Ravens, this might be the best Ravens defense since they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're playing lights out. They're getting to the quarterback. They're forcing turnovers. They're physical. Lamar does enough offensively for them today. I think right now Baltimore is probably the second best team in football. If I had to rank a top five, I think they're the second best team. Don't ask me who one is because Mark will not like it. And it is not the Philadelphia Eagles nor the Dallas Cowboys. I'll word it like that. But Baltimore is so good. The Rams, listen, I'm impressed with what the Rams have done this year. I'll be the first one to say. I didn't think. I thought when they were 1-3 or whatever it was, I thought they were done. I thought Stafford should have retired. Maybe they retool it. They've come back. They've won 4 in a row. They're playing really well. Give Sean McVay a lot of credit. All right. Then we got an NFC West showdown, Seahawks, Niners. No, we do not know if Geno Smith will be playing today. He will test it out in warm-ups. But Drew Lock is ready just in case he has to go.
This is a critical game for the 49ers because it falls into it's not a trap game because I don't consider the Seahawks that bad of a team.
Cue up Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, I see this as getting comfortable. And when teams get comfortable, they get lazy. And that's always what's bothered me about multiple different teams over the past is when they have a huge advantage, they take it easy. And San Francisco has to come out and just play like they have since week one and dominate the field. If they come out playing soft and easy to protect for injuries, a simple loss here could cost them big positioning.
We haven't seen a lot of Drew Lock. We haven't. So if we haven't seen a lot of it, the 49ers definitely have not seen a lot of it. So it wouldn't shock me if maybe a couple plays in on the Seahawks offense that they make some big explosive plays, or if they're on the first drive alone, they could march down the field. Only because the 49ers have to get used to it, because they're probably practicing thinking that Geno was going to play. So with that said, I think the Niners, like they've had all season, they learn to adjust their game plan. They adjust well, and they'll be just fine. And I think they'll easily win this game. But yeah, I mean, find the Seahawks, like would just have at it. Like, you never know. Maybe you catch the Niners falling asleep a little bit, and then if they're playing from behind, and by behind I mean double digits, they get a little desperate. 49ers have gotten desperate before. You want to put them in desperation mode because then they'll have to force it, and that's never a good situation for any team.
Cue up about 3 minutes ago where I said Baltimore was the second best team in football. 49ers are the best team in football. They proved it again last week in Philly, where they just decimated the Eagles.
Destroyed
and
pounded on their hearts.
Yeah, I mean, the only fight the Eagles showed was from the security guard.
And he's been benched for tonight, so they have no
fight left. He can't go to the sidelines anymore.
Right.
Big Dom.
Poor you, Big Dom, but you should never put your hands on a player. Here's the thing. This is, for me, a must-win game for Seattle. Because they haven't looked good the last couple of weeks. And more so because I don't know what the future entails for Seattle. Because we talk about Drew Lock might get the start. Geno's banged up. And Geno had this great year last year. Seattle might be one of those teams where they're picking in those mid to late teens. And you might just say, you know what? I've got Geno under contract for another 2 years or so. I might grab a quarterback here in the draft that'll learn under Geno. Also, if the rookie outshines Geno, Geno's contract isn't absurd like some of these other quarterback contracts where you can move on from Geno Smith. So that's something else to be wary of if you're Seattle. They have dynamic receivers. I think Kenneth Walker is expected to play today, along with Charbonnet.
He's Charbonnet is definitely the one, and it's the other way right now. Charbonnet would be starting over Walker, number 2. He still has the oblique injury.
Right, but I think Adam Schefter said game time decision. So
again,
oblique, we don't know.
Right. Long live Ike Davis.
But Arizona State Sun Devil legend.
Yes.
But Mark, you guys talk about the Niners getting complacent. Like, nothing about this Niners team this year has been complacent. They are playing. They played all year with this massive chip on their shoulder because of what happened in the NFC title game last year. And by the way, they proved last week if Brock Purdy was healthy for that game, they beat Philly in Philly.
Yeah. We'll discuss my thoughts on why Philly is Philly later. Go on.
I skipped one of the 1:00 games, but we'll bring mention to it now. You got the Fighting Joe Flacco's, and you got Trevor Lawrence, who has a sprained ankle, but they're going to have him warm up, potentially to start.
He is, from what I've watched on NFL Network, he's walking fine, he's jogging fine, so they play him. They're crazy.
Yeah, so you got Jaguars and you've got the Browns and the Fighting Joe Flacco's, who've been really good, who was really good last week. But
yeah, they will have Amari Cooper as well today. He cleared the concussion protocol this morning, so Flacco just will have another weapon out there. And let's face it, I mean, Flacco is not gonna do himself any favors if he has a blitz coming at him because he's not going to be able to get out of it. Give him 2 to 3 seconds. The guy can still do something.
Yeah, and he's got the weaponry. Cooper's back, Elijah Moore and Njoku, the 2 running backs.
Yeah. So
and Jacksonville's really good too. We're just waiting on Trevor Lawrence. All right. In a game many pegged as the AFC title game, Bills go to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs.
This poor kid. This is all I can think of. This poor kid. All right. So, as I spoke with our good old friend Nathan Moser last night, and
I apologize for
convinced him,
that.
convinced him that there is more to happen with his Bills team. Just watch. I kind of forgot about that they were playing the Chiefs today, so I kind of was wondering why he was questioning me. Yeah, I'm sorry, Nate. They're not winning today. I honestly think Chiefs have a lot to prove right now to prove they can throw to anybody else not named Swift and just try and put up a better showing overall offensively. I know they're 8-4, but this is not the KC offense we're all used to.
And
I
that
mean,
KC offense dealt a blow. No Isaiah Pacheco today.
Shoulder joint, yes.
Shoulder injury.
yeah. I mean, there's not really much going on with the Bills other than their stupid coach who makes 9/11 comments, dumbass. And I don't want to get into anything further than that. If you want to listen to my rant, SIP just released. Listen to that.
Take it out wherever you get your podcasts.
Look, the Chiefs are better than the Bills. They're better. They are better quarterback wise. They're better offensively. Defensively, the Chiefs have taken a hit with injuries. But as banged up as they are, they still fight. And they're not just gonna lay down like a dog. Like they'll fight and they'll definitely show a lot of guts playing the Bills. So I expect a massive defensive performance by both teams. I mean, I'm still curious offensively with the Bills with this new offensive staff and Josh Allen's all of a sudden resurgence. I'm still very curious, but no, I think the Chiefs ultimately are better. They have the better offensive game plan, offensive weapons. They're better talented, and that's just the reality of the situation for Buffalo.
You brought up the Chiefs defense. They'll get back linebacker Nick Bolton today. The Bills offense will get back tight end Dawson Knox. To me, this isn't about the Bills offense. Like the Bills offense will potentially do its thing. It's about Josh Allen limiting the turnovers, and it's about the Bills defense. Because we made mention of it before. Kansas City doesn't have the weapons. But I look at Kansas City at times, and sometimes there are guys who will make a play. Rashee Rice makes a couple of plays here and there, and Travis Kelce makes a play here, and Travis Kelce will make a play. The running backs will make plays. What I want to know is from a Bills defensive spectrum, how do you take away Travis Kelce?
Right.
Because if you take away Travis Kelce, I think the Bills can win this football game. Because I don't know what else Kansas City throws out at you. You have these two really good safeties with Poyer and Hyde. Not having Matt Milano is going to suck today, but he played a big role. This isn't going to be KC and Buffalo of the AFC title game a couple of years ago, people. This has 20-17, 24-21 written all over it. I just don't bet against Mahomes at home. But this should be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
As should the Sunday night game where Chris Collinsworth will tell you here's a guy. We got Eagles, we got Cowboys. Round one went to Philly at home. Mark, it's Sunday night.
And it's all on, unfortunately, Dak Prescott. Because if this was the Kansas City Chiefs, if this was the Buffalo Bills, they wouldn't say this is on Mahomes. No, they would say it's on whoever. No, The light is going to be on Dak Prescott. Can he do what he's been doing against these weaker teams over the last few weeks? And yes, they're all weaker. And no, I'm not going to object to putting up 40 points a game, but can he do it against this current Eagles defense? And the answer is after what the Eagles defense displayed last week, there should be no reason why not. Okay. Yes, I'm not going to say Brock Purdy has not had a better season than Dak Prescott. He has. Statistically, he has. And he also beat Dak Prescott head to head. So Dak Prescott is right there up behind him. He's got control of this offense. The question, I think the whole key for this game is going to, and I hate to say it, is the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. If they don't give Jalen Hurts that extra half second to make a decision, Dallas is going to win this game in a blowout. Not that that will happen. I still have it Dallas 35, Philly 24.
I do think that the Eagles and Cowboys, in terms of Dallas, I think they're catching the Eagles at the right time. They had a terrible blowout loss against the 49ers. And right now they need a get right game. This is not a get right game for the Eagles. Not even close to it. It'll be very competitive for sure. I think they're evenly matched teams. I think that has been very well known throughout the season. But this is not the time to be facing a divisional opponent of the Cowboys, who are just absolutely ready to hammer it up the you know what to the Eagles.
This means everything for the Cowboys right now. This game will decide pretty much the NFC East. However, I think Dallas has a rougher road than Philadelphia afterwards with the Bills and flippers coming up. You know, they're going to have to deal with them. Unfortunately, one of them being on the night where the jolly old guy is going to be ready to come to town, but hopefully that won't happen.
Right.
And Philly plays the Giants twice.
Ah,
But you point
so,
out the Cowboys again, so I'm going to point out Philly.
What's the point?
Yeah. So
I mean,
look, the bottom line is, and I apologize, Rifkin. The
no,
bottom
go for
line
it.
is, Dallas should take advantage of the fact that the Eagles are down low, sitting ducks, and kick their ass.
Philly's been vulnerable all year. Like this is not the same team that went to the Super Bowl. Defensively, if they don't get to the quarterback defensively, they struggle. Like I love Darius Slay and Bradbury. I think they're a great corner duo. There's been a lot of times this year they've been burned. You know, linebackers are all right, but if they don't get to the quarterback, they struggle in coverage. Offensively, Jalen Hurts is hurt. That is obvious to me. He's not running like he had been. You know, he's not making the same plays outside of the pocket, minus the play against Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, where he hit Zacchaeus in the back of the end zone. If Dallas can create the pressure, whoever wins the trenches wins this game.
Yes.
But I think a big key for Philly is DeAndre Swift, because he was really good in the first game in both the running game and the passing. And let's be real honest, you're probably going to have Gilmore on A.J. Brown and then Bland on Devontae Smith. I believe Dallas Goedert's going to try to come back tonight, is the reports.
He's GTD as of right now.
Yeah, so that'll be a big help for the Eagle offense. For the Cowboys, listen, it's my one question for the Dallas Cowboys is who next to CD Lamb is going to make a play?
You know, Sorry, Mike, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, everyone's saying it's been Braden Cooks. It's been Braden Cooks. No, it's quietly the new coming of the old Dalton Schultz combined with a hard-hitting Jason Witten. We're seeing the tight end game return to this Dallas team, and Jason Ferguson is making the real case why he needs to be found more and more often. He's as physical, he's as good as a route runner as Dalton Schultz ever was. And he's getting the respect of the locker room, just like Jason Witten had. That's the type of player I see in this kid. And if you can become that and give Dak Prescott that extra weapon.
Wisconsin Badger legend Jake Ferguson. Listen, this should be a fun game. We'll have to count the amount of times they showed Jerry on TV, or what Chris Collinsworth saying in our conversations this week with Dak or Jalen Hurts. Count those. Don't take a shot because you'll be drunk before halftime. But I think you're right, Marcus. This is more of a must-win game for Dallas. One, they lost the first time with Philly. And, whether you want to point out the little mistakes they made or whatever.
Doesn't matter. They
right.
lost.
A loss is a loss. But two, you brought up the schedule. Buffalo, Miami, and week 18 they play Washington. I get Washington's not great, but they're okay. And Philly's got, I think they have the Cardinals left, and they got two with the Giants, and a partridge in a pear tree. So that's why this game is important for the Cowboys. So the other ultimate key is, I said the trenches, discipline. The Dallas Cowboys in big games, and Mark, I think you will agree with me, they become undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a coaching thing. So Mike McCarthy, you need to coach your butt off tonight and have your team ready to go.
It'll also depend if Mike McCarthy is back from the hospital, as he did have an appendectomy at the beginning of the week. So we do not know if he will be on the sidelines, but it would not surprise me.
Well, he was back
If he
at
comes on
practice the next day.
the IV poll and all, he'll be out there.
If not, Dan Quinn takes over.
Yes.
All right. So that's the games for today. Mark, who's the fantasy player of the day?
C.D. Lamb, 11 receptions, 100+ yards, 2 touchdowns.
And the Cowboys won.
I hope so.
Dad? I need McCaffrey to go off today. That's the bottom line. He needs to go off and off and off and off. Score 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
Take the fantasy points. You know what? How about a welcome back to the line for Justin Jefferson against the Raiders?
And it could very well be what Mike just said. One of the great purple people eaters returns today.
And listen, he's not taking a gamble by doing it in Vegas.
No.
So, all right. Mark, before we wrap this up, you wanted to give a quick shout out.
So we here at the Sports Insanity Network and Dugout of Millwood would like you to join us in for a cause that we are joining. If you've ever been to the Hudson Valley Renegades and you've listened to the guy over the mic, Rick Zolzer is the man you are listening to. I've not only have the pleasure of knowing the man for the betterment of 10 years, I've had the pleasure of working for the man as well, along with his wife, who is now going under a very difficult medical health crisis. We here at the Sports Insanity will be making our donation at the end of the month to go along with a Halpern donation. We're not asking everybody to donate. We ask if you can, all our listeners, please. This is a family who has done everything that everybody has asked for of them. Let's do something back for one of the greats.
Sending love.
You can go find it on GoFundMe. Look under Mary Zolzer.
Thoughts are with the Zolzer family. And you had a dugout of Millwood thing you wanted to talk about?
Yes, just letting everybody know that the dugout in Millwood will be quieting down for the next 2 weeks, as there is no way in heck I have any money going into Bowman draft any more than I already have. And I can't beg for another dime from a great backer right now. So the next time you will see anything will be at right before New Year's, hoping to have National Treasures in hand at the end of the month. And we will go on from there and look forward to most likely a quiet start into the new year, as you want to start case building. Doesn't happen until April anyway. So,
All right.
again, thank you all.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the SIN Sunday Sideline Report. Follow us on the socials, Twitter at SInsanityReal, also on Facebook. Check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Dan, Mark, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening to Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. Talk to you next week, everybody. And yes, we are sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Enjoy week 14.